So I've been thinking a lot about the differences between complacency and contentment. It's really easy to get the two confused because there's a lot of similarities, but one is really good and the other one is not so good. Let's start with the not so good one, which is complacency. For some of us, complacency is like our natural disposition. I know if I'm in an area for too long, I start to get complacent and think that I'm okay, when really I'm not doing okay. Because the thing with complacency is we can trick ourselves into thinking that we're in a good place when we're really just not striving to be in a better place. Complacency is easy because we're in a spot where we don't have to change. But what is the one thing that makes people better human beings? Change. Not only is complacency easy, but it can also be destructive. If left unchecked, it can quickly lead to apathy. And apathy can lead to depression and to being suicidal, which is obviously not a good place to be. This is why we shouldn't joke around too much about being apathetic or being proud about it, because it's a genuine problem. But we also need to remember that everybody struggles with apathy to at least some extent, so we can take comfort in the fact that we're not alone. Ultimately, complacency makes us feel good because it's only focused on the short run game, whereas contentment is a lot harder because it's focused on the long run game. The biggest thing that I've learned about contentment personally, especially over the past few months, is you have to fight for it. If you don't fight for it, you're gonna get distracted by things that don't matter at all. You need to be willing to give up the short run game that only pleases you now and start fighting for the long run game that will ultimately make you happy later and also happy now. One way we can do that is by fighting internally or psychologically. For me, it helps to frequently take breaks and to constantly reassess my life as a whole, and then also individual aspects like, what am I doing now that is making me happy? What am I doing now that is making me unhappy? What am I doing only a little bit of that I want to be doing more of, and what am I not doing that I want to get into? Once you've identified those four things, you can take fighting for contentment to the next step, which is externally or behaviorally. For me, when I identified that I wanted to be doing more freelance videography and photography instead of working a 9-to-5 job, I spent a lot of money on lenses and camera equipment, and then I put ads on Craigslist, started reaching out to friends and businesses, and it's worked. Simply put, it's just putting thoughts into actions, which is actually really hard to do. Some things to be careful about when you're trying to be content is comparing yourself to others, because that almost always leads to discontentment. We all know that comparison is the thief of joy, but we also think a lot of times that the grass is greener on the other side. I used to have a mentor who would say, yeah, the grass might be greener on the other side, but it's full of fertilizer and of pesticides that will kill you. And I would just laugh and I'm like, you're so right, man. You're so right. My friend Jake has this saying that I've previously made fun of him for, but it's actually really powerful. It's simply, find the light. Because sometimes it's not only difficult to see the light, but you can literally trick yourself into thinking that there is no light and that there is no hope at all. And that is a scary place to be, my friends. This is why we need to be constantly checking ourselves and reassessing our lives in order to make sure that we're not being complacent, but we're fighting for contentment. Fight to find the light even when you can't see it, because there is hope. There is always hope. See you next week.